Hey guys, it's Guy39 here, and welcome back. Got another news segment for you guys. I know we haven't been doing a lot of news segments lately. In fact, I don't even remember when the last one I did was. I think it might have been E3 in June. Anyways, to jump right into things, we're going to be talking about Master of Orion today. And if all goes well, I might actually turn these news segments into a weekly thing if you guys find it interesting. But let's jump right into it and start talking about this. So Master of Orion Conquer the Stars was announced last week, and I'm only just now finally getting time to sit down and make a video about it. I believe the release trailer went up either on the 5th of June or on the 8th, but there was a little bit of conversation. There have been a couple of interviews. I haven't had a chance to go through all of them, but I've gone through some, and I've gotten like the necessary feedback, and I might show a couple of them on screen. I'm not quite sure what you guys will be seeing because I'm talking separately from recording the video for this, which is what I usually do when I do a news segment. Anyways, so let's get into this. So the game is being developed by Wargaming, the developer of World of Tanks, which may sound odd to you guys, but technically speaking, they used to do strategy games, so it makes sense that they would be doing a strategy game, except it doesn't, and I'll get more into that later on. It's also been 10 years since Master of Orion 3 has come out, which means pretty much no one knows what Master of Orion is, and if you clicked here, there's a good chance you specifically know what it is because there aren't a lot of people searching for it on the internet right now. Master of Orion, the original game, is actually so old that it is the same age as my younger brother, Kylan389, so it is actually quite an old game, and Master of Orion 2 didn't come out all that much after that. Master of Orion 3 came out much later, but it was very poorly received. Generally, no one likes it. It basically ended the series. There were no more Master of Orion after Master of Orion 3 because 3 flopped, basically. It sold well enough, but it flopped so bad that like the backlash just prevented the company from making any more games. And eventually, I believe the original developers, which I forgot to write down their name, unfortunately. That's very professional of me, I know, but you guys can probably look it up. The original developers actually just sort of vanished and disappeared. But the company that's working on this has managed to scrounge up a few of them over at NDG Studios in Argentina. We'll get back to that in a minute, but the details of the game so far are pretty scarce. They're going to be focusing mainly on restoring the original game. They were talking about, moving sliders up and down, which is the standard issue for the original game. When the original game was a little different from other 4X games in that you didn't build specific structures for like production and research. You just have so much production, and you can choose whether you want to put. Oh, my phone went off. Whether you want to put it into research, whether you want to put it into industry, you could just switch it around however you like. And there was no actual money in the game. You acquired currency, or BC, or billion credits, or whatever you want to call it, through excess industry. If you had more industry than what you needed to build factories, or you couldn't build more factories, you produced wealth. And wealth could be used to, basically pay people off to not kill you. It didn't really have that much use, and you could spend money to double your production, but you couldn't do things like you can in Galactic Civilization where you could just buy a ship finished. Like, you can't do that. You can invest your money into shipyards, planets that are investing all of their production into building ships, and then just, crank out ships faster. But you can't, super buy things like you can in Galactic Civilizations. They seem to be bringing back the original 10 races from the original game, which means we have, let's see if I can get them all. The Alkari, the Bird People, Sakara, the, what are they called again? The Lizard People. You got Bulrathi, the Bear People, and not to be confused with the Kilrathi. And you've got the humans, you've got the the spy people, the Darloks, you've got the robot people, the Mechlar, you've got the rock crystal people, the Silicoids, and a couple more. I won't go through all of them, but you've got cat people in there too. You've got a lot of different races. There are 10 of them, and they all play very differently because they all have like really big differences in their special abilities, and also they have differences in their tech tree. And hopefully they bring back the original tech tree, because Master of Orion 1 had a very unique tech tree in that it was completely procedurally generated. You didn't actually get everything in your tech tree. So sometimes you might have to negotiate with other factions and races in order to get a technology that you need for your particular strategy. Whereas, certain races like this, the Cylons, I believe they're called, or whatever they're called. Someone correct me in the comment section below. I know what they're called, but I can't remember their name. They're basically a research people, and they have a much, much higher chance of getting everything in their tech tree. And humans are second in that category, in that they have the highest chance, other than the Cylons, to have all of the research in their tech tree. Now, when I say all, I just mean per tech. They have a higher chance of getting them in their tech tree. Not that they can start with a magic full tech tree with everything. You still have to research it, mind you. It's just that you don't get to pick freely from every technology in the game. You only get to pick from the technology that ends up in your tech tree. I had a sip of water there, sorry. Now, other than that, we don't really have a lot of details about how the game's going to play out, other than that they are sticking to their roots. They're going back to the original game, which is good. I think that's a good move, because Master of Orion 1 is really good. The only thing it really lacks is that it doesn't play well on modern computers, and its graphics are not, fancy enough to actually get new people playing it. Now, to get to some of the more scary stuff, the why we should be happy and why we should be concerned portion of this, we'll start with the good stuff. First off, there's a Master of Orion remake. You should be clapping already. Like, there isn't really much more to say about it. If it's a remake at all, like, if it's close enough to the original, it'll be a good game. Like, as long as we can guarantee that it will be close enough, or at least similar to the original game, it might be worth a buy at a reasonable price, irregardless of how it turns out, just because the game mechanics of the original game were really good. Now, they did mention that they were sticking to the original design, and the really good thing about Master of Orion 1 was that it required a lot less micromanagement than a lot of other 4X games. It was competing with the original Civilization way back in the day, and the original Civilization game actually struggled with the fact that you got too micromanagey towards the end. Like, it took too much out of you if you had too many cities. Whereas in Master of Orion, you could have like 10, 15 colonies, and it really wouldn't bug you at all. Like, each one is just sort of doing its own thing, producing research for the most part. So you didn't really have to worry too much about it. As long as you just dedicate them to whatever role you want them to be doing, you don't need to micromanage too much. If they keep the randomized tech trees, that'll keep things exciting. If they enhance the diplomacy, that's one of the areas where the game was weak. It had very stupid AI, to put it that way. They basically had to cheat to be any real threat. But, if they enhance the AI, if they give them more diplomatic options so they don't just erratically declare war on you, and then it's like, oh, wait, we need peace, without any shots being fired at all, then we might be able to get something good out of it. Now, the reason for concern, and I'm going to get back to this, is that it's not really being developed by the developers of war games. It's being developed by NDG Studios, a Argentina-based company that specializes in making MMO games. It's basically a budget company. Like, this is a typical example of a larger company not wanting to invest a lot of money in a product, so instead of developing it in-house, they outsource it to someone else. Now, their explanation for this is that NDG Studios has some of the original staff working with them, which is great. Hold on, I'm getting called on Skype. I will be right back. Alright, resolved that. Sorry for the short delay there. I had to go turn off Skype. My brother was calling me. Anyways, to get back to the point, so their explanation is that NDG Studios has some of the original team with them, which is fine. You know, I can understand that. But at the same time, essentially what they're doing is they're outsourcing it. They're outsourcing it to a company that will be able to do this more cheaply than their in-house development team. If they were developing it in-house, the costs would be a lot higher because they're developing it. I believe Wargaming is either a UK-based company or a US-based company, but either or would be more expensive. I doubt that they're based in Argentina, but I might be wrong about that. I didn't actually do the research on them because I know that they're not the ones developing it. If they're saying, whenever a big company says, we are working in collaboration with this company, then there's a good chance that they actually mean we're basically giving them the development lead. We're letting them develop the game on their own. And especially the way it comes across in the interviews where, you know, people were interviewing representatives from NDG Studios talking about how they are doing modifications to the original game, you know, trying to improve upon it and stuff like that. It makes it sound like the development is going on there and not at Wargaming Studios. And that's really the main concern here, is that if this NDG Studios team is a budget team, basically, then that means that this is a budget game, that they're basically just saying, oh, well, we're going to create a title and we're going to sell it based on brand and name alone. And if that turns out to be the case, this game could be absolutely awful. I mean, it's really easy to screw up a 4X game. Like, just make it too micromanagey, it sucks. Don't give us enough options, it sucks. Don't keep things simple enough to where we can, you know, get through the game at a reasonable pace, and it sucks. Like, there's so many factors in a 4X game that you don't have in a typical MMO. Because in a lot of MMO games, they're grindy as all heck. Like, the thing that keeps you going in an MMO is the ding. You know, you're going for the level up. That's not a thing in 4X games. There's no ding in 4X games. In 4X games, it's all about, you know, the slow-paced crushing of another empire. You need a lot of things to come together to make a 4X game good, and that's why very few people develop them. And that's actually going to be an issue here is, you know, can they do that? Are they going to be able to make this a good game? And they might. I mean, if they have members of the original team working with them, then at least they have the background information. Like, they have the core concepts and stuff there. Then at the very least they can make a good recreation of the original game. And really that's all we want. If they can make a good recreation of the game and maybe just rebalance a couple things, we're golden. But if they somehow manage to screw this up, then it's going to be really, really bad for fans of the actual series who have been waiting a very long time to get, you know, an update of this game so that... so one, we can install it and play it and, you know, enjoy it without having, you know, DOSBox screw up on us, but also for the fact that it will revitalize the series and people will actually know what we're talking about when we talk about Master of Orion. Anyways, I think we're going to cut the video here. I've gone on about as long as I need to. I've gotten through all of the stuff that I wrote down on the back of this piece of paper here, because... you know, I'm not good with scripts. I have to write notes. Otherwise, it doesn't work. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. I hope to see you all in the next episode. Please stay tuned. I will be... I do have videos on the internet ready to be released that are pre-recorded for while I'm away in the US. They won't be as frequent, but they'll still be there. So... I hope you guys enjoy them, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.